queek? What is a queek? What is a queek for this week? Week, queek. I've never said that before. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 37 of the Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast. My name is Lisa and I am coming to you from Long Island, New York. It's warm. I don't know why it's so warm here. It's like I just got back from Florida and somehow the Florida weather has followed us to Long Island. I don't know, but I do not like it. It is the middle of October. It is October 15th. Exactly in the middle of October, and it's like upper 70s today. I do not like this. This is not okay for New York, and I'm sure that like so many of you are traveling to Rhinebeck for this weekend, and I will not be there. So I just, with everything going on all summer, we made so many out-of-town trips. It just, another one this weekend was not in the cards. So I will miss seeing you all there. I've actually never been to Rhinebeck. So yeah, one day I'm sure I will get there, but it won't be this weekend, sadly. So yeah, I've seen a lot of you guys trying to plan your Rhinebeck sweater outfits and everything. And of course it's like another unseasonably warm weekend. So I hope that you guys sorted it out, and I can't wait to see all the photos and all of the videos. So we're gonna just dive right in. Obviously it's in the upper 70s today, so we're gonna skip right on over my what am I wearing segment. We're also gonna skip right over my finished objects segment because I've got nothing finished. But I do have Shawlography to talk to you guys about today. I'm gonna save that one for a little bit later because I know that like Clue 2 just came out today. I'm recording on Friday. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody that is waiting to cast that on or just doesn't want to see it for whatever reason ahead of time. So when I get to that portion of the video, I will let you guys know, and then I will like insert a time mark on the bottom here for you guys to jump back in after it is safe to do so. But that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about talking about. So I'm gonna just start with everything else. So let's just go right into whips. Okay, so I do have something kind of sort of finished, but it's not finished. I have finished the main color portion of my Spring Things shawl. I love it so much. You know, I haven't knit that many shawls, so I guess this one's technically a shawlette. It is not super big, and you know, it's just got a little bit of, I don't really know how to wrap it yet or anything, but it's so fun. I was especially excited about the asymmetrical shape because it took forever to get to this midway portion, and as you can see, that midway portion of the shawl is quite longer than the rest of it, and that's because, and I'll tell you this because it is a free pattern by Espace Tricot, the Spring Things shawl. On the way increasing up the shawl, you do an increase every 4th row, so like you're going back and forth, and it goes by so quick at the beginning, and then it just takes forever. It takes forever to get to that midway point. And for some reason I didn't realize it was asymmetrical. I thought it was going to be symmetrical, so I thought that it was just going to be a decrease every 4th row on the way back to the next tip, but it's every 2nd row, and that just made me so happy because I was like ready to be done with knitting this thing because there's so many other projects I want to be working on, and I mean I love it, but you know, it's just garter stitch. So I was just kind of like, all right, let's get this one moving, let's get this on. So this was something that I worked on day 1 of my road trip last week. because we left on a Thursday and the Shawlography clue did not come out until the second day of my road trip. So I knit on other things that first day while I was waiting for the clue. And so I got a lot of this done, probably until about like here. And then once I was done with Shawlography and needed other things to work on, I resumed this and I finished it up. So, I don't know. You guys let me know, if you knit this shawl, did you take the time to block it at this stage? They recommend in the pattern to blocking it after you've completed this portion before doing the edging. And I have this wonderfully bright fluorescent yellow of the specks for the edging. Is it really necessary? I just don't feel like it. I don't have knitting wires, so I'm gonna have to just use like blocking pins. And I just don't know if, I mean, I like the shape, I like the size. I don't feel like there's no, I know if I were knitting something really textured, like the Shawlography is going to need to be blocked to see all of the wonderful details. But this is just garter stitch, and there's nothing like, there's no lace work that needs to be brought out or anything. It seems to be a good shape to me. Do I really have to block it? What would you guys do? What would you do? Would you block this before doing the edging? Or would you just put the edging on? I'm tempted to just put the edging on, and then if I really need to block it, I mean, like, I'm actually considering not blocking this one at all. I block everything. I just don't know if it's worth blocking this. Is it really gonna make a difference? So you guys let me know about that. The yarn that I used for this was Humble Bumble Fiber Co. I think that's right, Humble Bumble Fiber Co. And the colorway is Fireflies, and it's like this gorgeous deep purple. Oh, the other thing I should tell you is that I seriously played yarn chicken with this one. Now I knew that we were going to be decreasing and that it was a one skein project, but you know that feeling of panic that you get when you're like, you have like so much more, probably like this much more of the shawl to do, and you know it's going to be getting shorter and shorter and shorter rows, but like your yarn is like hardly anything. I was panicking. I was like, for a while there, I was like, I just don't know if I'm going to have enough. I had enough, but you guys, this is what I had left. This, it's like I could probably stretch this out. It's like, it's nothing. I had this much left. So, I mean, that was great. Aside from feeling kind of panicked for a while, I love when like this is all that I have left, because I've used up my yarn, and then I don't have like all these extras that I have to figure out what to do with. But I'm also like, I'm kind of panicking. Like, is this really going to be enough? I mean, this was the mini that came with my yarn. I'm supposed to hold it double for the edging. And so I'm just kind of like paranoid. Like, is this going to be enough to do an edging and all those cute little tassels held double? I'm a little bit like, I just don't know. I'm going to just trust. I'm going to just trust in it, and we'll see. I will report back to you. But yeah, so this is my spring thing shawl, and I love it so much. It is so fun. So I think that this is going to be fantastic. It's like super lightweight, nice in between seasons accessory. So yeah, I'm really starting to get into shawls, you guys. I see what the fuss is now. It's really fun. Okay, so, oh, the neighbor's dogs just spotted me sitting on my deck in my backyard. Right? I think we're okay. I think they're not gonna bark at me. I gave them a look, like, I live here. All right, so that is my first whip. I decided to start with that one because it was like in the most finished state. So let's go on to, I have 2 more whips. Let's go in backwards order of like most finished to least finished. I guess that'll work. All right. Okay guys, so next up is my Gryffindor scarf. This is for Owen's Halloween costume. He is going to be dressing up as Harry Potter, and he's already got Hedwig finished. He brought Hedwig with him on the trip along with Bunny and Mouse, and he sleeps with Bunny and Mouse and Hedwig now. It's so cute. So Hedwig comes everywhere too. So I have already knit Hedwig, and so these patterns are from Tanis Gray's Harry Potter Knitting Magic book. And so the one that it's okay Luna, I live here. The one that I'm working on now is this Gryffindor scarf. And so, let's see, I am knitting this with Plymouth Yarns Encore. So this was what my local yarn shop had in stock in the right colors in a worsted weight yarn, which is actually pretty perfect because it's not, it was not an expensive yarn. It's 75% acrylic, 25% wool. So this was very affordable, which is really good when it comes to knitting things for my 6-year-old, because he just doesn't, he loves his knits, but he doesn't take care of them. So it's perfect. These colors are, this one in red is color 174, and the gold is color 460. So that's the yarn that I am using, and I've made a good deal of progress. I do not remember, let's see, everything's kind of twisted here. I do not remember where I was last time I showed this to you, but we have this much knit now. And so this project is going to have to get like serious priority because Halloween is coming up. Today's the 15th. I've got like basically 2 weeks to get this done for him. So I'm knitting it to the same width that the pattern calls for, but I am going to knit it quite a bit shorter. I have quite a bit less yardage, and he's only 6. So so I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 yellow sections done, and I'm almost up to the 5th like yellow stripy section. So this has been like my mindless knitting project. I work on this. I've worked on this in the dark when we're on the road and I can't see anymore. This is one that I can just knit around and around and around in and not worry about screwing anything up. So that is the status of my Gryffindor scarf. So we're getting that ready for Halloween. So I'm gonna be putting in like some serious work on this over the next week. So this should be quite grown, like much bigger by the next podcast, and then 2 weeks from now this should be off the needles because Halloween. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, so if you guys are knitting anything or crocheting anything or making any kind of Harry Potter related projects, I was doing a knitting long from the Harry Potter Knitting Magic books, and somebody asked if they could join in on the knit along with crochet patterns, and I said sure, why not? More the merrier. I don't really have that many people participating in it right now, but there are a few of you who have joined in and have been sharing your projects, and it's so much fun to see. So that is hashtag Harry Potter Knit Along 2021, and there is a Ravelry group, my Ravelry group, Stop Drop and Knit Podcast. There is a thread for the Harry Potter Knit Along that you can join in on there as well. Okay, so next up is I did get just a tiny start on my Musselburgh hat. So last time I had shared with you my yarn that I ordered for my husband for his birthday hat. And so I am knitting him the Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague, and I am doing it out of this beautiful BFL yarn by Knit Circus Yarns, and this is the Great Pumpkin. That's the name of it, the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It's so pretty. You can see like all those pumpkin-y colors in there. I love that little bit of green. It's so autumnal. It is so perfect. I just wanted to see the label to share with you guys the actual information. So it's called Breathtaking BFL. It's 100% superwash blue face Leicester wool, and it is 410 yards. And it's the Great Pumpkin Speckle, and that's what their cute little label looks like. And all right, I just haven't gotten that much done on it. Like, I spent like one night starting to establish the pattern, and then we were on the road and shawlography, and I've been really focusing on Owen's scarf for Halloween. So, but I've got a hat. This is what it's looking like so far. It's so small. Kind of basically looks like the toe of a sock right now. So I talked about this pattern a little bit last podcast. I have never knit one, but this has been a really popular pattern that Kay, I don't know why I just hesitated on her name, Kay, the crazy sock lady, has been really influential, getting a lot of people to knit this, because she has just knit this several times for her own kids, her own boys, and her husband, and herself. And so this has become a very popular pattern, and it's just very cleverly done. I am not at the point yet where I have enough fabric to measure my gauge, but the way that she does the pattern is that you just take whatever yarn you have, and you can knit it from either a lace weight, I think, all the way to a DK, and she will say, like, it's the same exact instructions for whatever. So you just take whatever yarn you want to use, and you just start the pattern, and then at the point where you have a good inch or two, or maybe it's just an inch, I don't know, but like a good solid amount of fabric, you measure your gauge, and then you can use that to calculate which size of the hat you want to knit based on your gauge of just your own knitted fabric. So I love that. I love that you're not just trying to match a gauge, you're taking your own gauge, and you're just making the pattern and adjusting it to what you have. So to me, that is just brilliant. So this is how the speckles are knitting up. It is so cute. I think this side has a little bit of that green there near the top. So I'm really excited for this one. I do not think I'm gonna get the Musselburgh hat in time for my husband's birthday, which is November 1st. Because I have to get the Halloween scarf done. And my husband is more flexible. So I'll find something else for him for his birthday, and this will likely be Christmas or something, or a belated birthday. I don't know, but it's not like, it's just not high priority. And I don't mean that to offend my husband. Just Halloween costume knitting has to come first. It's just that when you have a child, you just have to do that. So anyway, he's very flexible. He is very knitworthy. I should have put this in knitworthy. I should have put the other scarf in knitworthy. Those are both knitworthy whips. So maybe we'll go back and throw a knitworthy section on that, because these both fall into the knitworthy category. Yeah, both my boys are incredibly knitworthy. I love knitting for them because they both truly appreciate it. Owen, I don't know how much he appreciates it. I don't know if he really knows like how lucky he is to have a mom that knits for him, but he definitely loves everything that I give him. So totally knitworthy. And my husband will be thrilled to have this whenever it's done, and is not at all worried about it being done for his birthday. So that is my very, very small beginnings of my Musselburgh hat. And okay, so now we are at the point where the only other knitting that I have to show you is my shawlography progress. So I'm gonna put a little spoiler, oh, that was a bee really close to my face. I'm gonna put a little spoiler image up to give you guys a chance to skip ahead. So I'll put like the spoiler screen, and then at the bottom of that I will put a timestamp of where to skip ahead to in the video. So after I am done talking about shawlography, I will have a small amount of spinning to share with you, a small amount of acquisitions, and then a pretty significant section of natural dyeing for this queek. What is a queek? What is a queek for this week? Queek. I've never said that before. Kind of like it. I think I should start saying that for this queek. Anyway, yeah, I did a ton of natural dyeing the week before we went to Florida. I had a lot of yarn come in and a lot of dye material to use. So I'm excited to share that with you. I will have to record that section probably later this afternoon because I have to teach this afternoon. So, all right, spoiler image warning is going up with a timestamp of where to skip if you do not want to see this next section. So I hope that you join me for shawlography because it is so exciting and I'm having a blast. And if not, I'll see you in spinning. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about shawlography. Oh my goodness. All right. This is my first time ever knitting a Stephen West design. Where have I been? I've been seeing them for years. I don't know why I haven't knit any. This is changing because I am having so much fun. Oh my goodness. This is also my first time doing a mystery knit along. It is so much fun. I didn't realize how much fun these things are. It is so fun to be knitting the same pattern as all these other knitters and then getting to see their progress and their color choices. It's just, I am having a blast. Okay, so I showed you guys last time the gradient that I am using, and this is a yarn pack, a party of 5, full skein party of 5 pack that I picked up pre-pandemic from Sweet Georgia Yarns. And I picked it up because I absolutely fell in love with these colors. I had no plans for the yarn. I just knew that I wanted to have that in my stash. And I am so glad that I am using those yarns for this shawl because it is looking fantastic. Oh my goodness. I know that some of you guys were saying like, oh, you should choose just some of those colors and get something more bright for more of a pop. And maybe, you know, maybe they're too similar. I am so glad I didn't listen to you guys because I just trusted my gut, and my gut said that I know that I love these 5 colors together, and so whatever happens with this shawl design and this yarn, I know I'm going to love it. I'm so glad I trusted myself. Okay, you guys, so I'm gonna show you what we did in the first video that he puts out. I also want to say, make sure you watch the video because it is very helpful. I don't usually need to follow too many tutorials when I knit, but it was really nice to hear Stephen like kind of walk us through choosing what color out of your 5 to designate to A, B, C, D, and E. And so, yeah, so that was the very first part of the video, was just assigning A, B, C, D, and E to each of your yarns. So I'm gonna let you guys know which ones is for which part of the pattern. All right, this first one is Peacock, and so this is what I selected for my color A. So this is what I selected for color A. It is my brightest of the 5, I think. I had 2 that were pretty bright and pretty solid throughout. So Peacock is my color A. And then he recommended choosing either another really bright color or a Luna, come on, or a darker color for your color B, which is still attached to my shawl right now. But this one is, let me tell you the name of it. This one is called Jewel. And so this one I selected as my color B. So this is also really bright. I don't know how bright it looks. I'm kind of in the shade over here. So these I thought contrasted really, really beautifully together. Okay, and then I had kind of like a gradient of variegated yarns in the middle. So the first of that gradient, this is my color C, is called Azurite. And that one is, looks like that. So it's like more of variegated blues with just a little bit of purple in there. And then Velvet Elvis definitely brings in more of the purples and more of that first teal of my color A. And then my last one, which one is, what is this called? Just want to see the name of the color, so you guys have that. Aubergine is this last one, and this one is more of a variegated purple. So these three are colors C, D, and E. Okay, so that's like a variegated gradient right there. So I was a little bit concerned initially that like some of those, especially these first two, might be too similar. But these, all five of these just go so well together. I don't know if I can get them all without dropping them. Okay, here we go. So these are the five together. They're so pretty. All right, so now I cannot wait to show you guys my finished clue 1. It is so engaging and so much fun. Oh my goodness. All right. And it's going to be a little easier to show you guys on the podcast because I can like stretch it out, which was a little difficult for me to do. All right. So here we go. Here is my finished clue 1. I love this so much. Okay. So he starts with just like a little wedge, a really small wedge tab cast on there, and then you go through a series of 9 wedges. So you've got this garter, not really garter stitch, but you've got this little tab at the beginning, and then you do like an I-cord row, and then you make wedges out of short rows incorporating each of the different colors. So you do color C in between, and then color A, sorry, that first bright one, and then color D is the next wedge, this one here, and then color E. And so then you just repeat that order. You go back to color C, and then color A, and then color D, and color E, and then you end with color C again. So it's a little easier to see on the back side right now because it's not blocked, like how the different colors, they stand out more on the wrong side of it now. So that was just right away, like the most engaging thing was doing all these short rows. I love short rows. They are so much fun. The knitting goes by so fast because you're constantly like turning around your knitting and finishing rows and stuff, and it's so fun. And then, okay, so you do all of that. Can I talk to you guys for a second about the Weave and Steven? Those of you who know. So the Weave and Steven, I knew that Stephen West had a way of weaving in ends as he goes, but I never looked it up. I don't know why I never knit it up. It's kind of brilliant, and so like every time. There are some ends to weave in. He's like, I'm just gonna do the weave in Steven, and so I don't have that many ends to weave in, even though I change colors so many times. Like, they're already woven in through that whole section there. They're already woven in and snipped. It's great. And so, all right, so then so that was section 2. So section 1 is just this little cast on there. And then section 2 is this whole big short row section. It's so pretty. And then section 3 is this slip stitch section here. And somebody said that this looks like a mermaid's tail, and like with the colors that I chose and stuff, and it's so cool. So yeah, so so this is color C, these big slip stitches, and then you just have like a stockinette in the background underneath these slip stitches. So then first is color A, and then color D, and then color, was it B? No, it was E. And then color E, I think, behind, and then C. So you don't use, you don't use color B at all for that slip stitch section. So color B was your main color. That's that deep purple that you're seeing here. And then you just leave that out for this next section. And then this last section, this was the last section of Clue 1, was these little I-cord loops, and so that was entirely done again with color B. And so there is already, without using any complicated techniques, like there's no brioche stitch, at least not yet, there's already so much texture in this shawl, and I love my colors. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look back on the video and see how well this is showing up. But I just love that it's like a subtle gradient. I just knew I would love all of these colors together. I know that he says this section is going to stand out much more after blocking, which is great. Yeah, I am just so thrilled, not only with how this looks, but just the process of knitting this. This might be like the most fun I've had working on a knitting project ever. Probably the most fun knit I've ever done. It is so, so fun. So yeah, I am absolutely thrilled with this. I needed to record today because I wanted to be able to show this to you guys as a finished Clue 1. But Clue 2 came out today, and I also wanted to like be able to get started knitting on Clue 2 this evening. So yeah. All right, so that is Clue 1 of Stephen West's Shawlography Mystery Knitalong. Okay, so I am going to put up another image here so that we can go back into our regularly scheduled knitting and spinning program. All right, that is all the knitting that I have for you guys. So next up is spinning. All right, so let's talk about the spinning that I have gotten done since the last episode. Honestly, I haven't gotten that much spinning done because I've been out of town. I did not bring spinning with me for the week that I was out of town. And the week before I left, I was doing so much natural dyeing that I just didn't pick up the spinning so frequently. But I did continue to work on my Sweet Georgia fiber. It's an alpaca merino silk blend. So it's 50% alpaca, 30% merino wool, and 20% silk. And the color is called Falling Leaves. So I am absolutely in love with the colors of this fiber. I am not so in love with spinning it. I am having some trouble spinning it on my drop spindle. So the colors, I have separated this into 4 identical bumps. So these are the colors. The colors are absolutely beautiful. The fiber is beautiful. I think that the spindle that I decided to use for this is probably too heavy. I did choose my heaviest spindle. So I quickly learned that this one is not going to be able to be as fine a yarn as I have been making. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to have more, probably toward a DK or worsted weight with this, which is fine. It just, when I get too thin with it, my fibers break. I only have this much left actually to spin of my first bump. I had to stop yesterday because I had dropped my drop spindle so many times that it was already cracked, and I never glued it back together. And then the hook fell out so many times completely, but then the last time I would just shove it back in, and then the last time it fell out, it slipped through the cracks of the deck, so it was lost. But I had more hooks, and so yesterday I glued it with some really strong glue so that now I can finish this maybe today. But yeah, I have almost all of that first bump spun, so I was hoping to have it off of my spindle to show you guys for today, but I have just this little bit that I still have to get through. So it's turning out super, super pretty. These fibers, just the combination of fibers, like I've never spun alpaca, I've never spun silk. So there's just, I don't know if the staple lengths are a bit shorter. I think that probably if I had chosen a lighter weight spindle or done this like on my eel wheel nano, that probably I wouldn't hate the process of spinning this so much. But I started it on this spindle, and I want my yarn to be consistent all the way through, so I'm gonna follow through and finish up spinning on this spindle. I have another spinning project that I am really eager to start, and I told myself I wasn't gonna start it until I finished this first bump. So my other spinning project that I am going to get started on this week, and I wanted to be sure to mention this because this is a limited edition colorway that is only available through Halloween. So it is so pretty. This is from Wonderland yarns. They're Frabjous fibers, and this is the colorway Sweater Weather. It is so gorgeous. I think you all need to go get this colorway. It's only available until Halloween, so we've got another like 2 weeks that you guys can snag this colorway. So I am really excited to get this one on my other drop spindle. This one that I got is an organic Polworth silk top. So the last fiber that I spun from Wonderlands that was in my stash was completely Polworth wool, and I loved spinning that. So this time it has some silk in it, so I'm excited to see like how that feels different. But I'm gonna be using the same drop spindle that I did my Iris fiber Polworth wool yarn on. And so I've already started Andrea Mowry's Junction sweater with the last fiber that I spun, but I haven't yet picked it up since the last podcast because I've been gone, and there's some brioche stuff that I'm going to have to study up on, and I've only done brioche like once. So I need to, it's not automatic for me, so I'm gonna need to research how to do that. But that's the very next section of that, so I'll have that hopefully to show you guys next week so you can see how that's looking. But yeah, definitely these colors are beautiful. So beautiful. So this is, what is it, sweater weather? Sweater weather. So I wish we were in sweater weather. It is October 15th. I want to be in a sweater. Still not quite there. So, yep. So go snag this from Wonderland Yarns. I have a couple of quick acquisitions to share with you guys, and then I'm gonna need to take a break. I've got an afternoon of teaching my college kids, so I've got to get on to Zoom lessons in about 15 minutes. So I am going to quickly do sweater weather. I've got sweater weather on the brain. I'm gonna quickly share with you guys my acquisitions. It's a very short segment, and then I'll take a break and catch up with you guys late afternoon with my natural dyeing. Okay, so really quick, I'm excited to share my acquisitions with you guys. I am going to insert at some point a picture of this first one because, I mean, I'll show you the tag. It is so cute. Last year, you guys know that I am a huge fan of Susan B. Anderson's little stuffed animals. And last year, she had the cutest little trick-or-treat bear. Yeah, that's what it's called, trick-or-treat bear kit. And I really wanted to snag it, but I missed out on it. And then of course, you know, it's past Halloween, so she's not gonna bring it back. Well, she brought it back and I made sure to snag it as soon as I could. So it's this cute little bear. I will actually insert an image here now so you guys can see how cute it is. And so she sends you some cute little yarn, like just enough what you need to make the pattern. So I guess this is I don't know which yarn it is, probably her worsted woolen spun yarn, not really sure, but oh my gosh, it's so soft. I love Susan B. Anderson's yarn. It's so great. And then what else is in here? She gives you the little eyes attachments. And she also always includes like some little stitch markers. So her shop is called Barrett Wool Co. So that's how you spell that. So, and you don't have to get the kit. She does have the patterns for sale all on their own up on Ravelry for you to include, to just purchase on their own. But she also always includes a whole little tin of the little light bulb stitch markers, which is great. I'm always losing mine. They fall, and then that's it. They're gone. So yeah, so I'm so excited. I know I'm not gonna get this knit up this Halloween. I've got a cute little witch kit that I picked up last year. Also, I'm not gonna get to that this year. So at some point, I'll actually knit these things up, but I'm so happy to have them. And then so the last acquisition that I have is that my sock yarn of the month from Knitterly Things from Julia. And Julia, happy birthday. I know you're probably not gonna watch this, but it is your birthday today when I'm recording, and I will go and wish you a happy birthday on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. But I just wanted to say a special shout out, happy birthday to Julia of Knitterly Things. All right, I have been her customer for like years. I mean, the first yarn I purchased from her was in 2006. And then I took a really long break. I only had a few things from her back then. And then I've been in her clubs, and she's just so great. So right before I left on the trip, her September colorways arrived in my mailbox. She always sends them out at the very end of the month. So she dyes them through September, and then you get them early October. And so these are the beautiful colors that arrived in my mailbox from Julia. I am in 2 separate clubs from hers, and I do dyer's choice of base so that she can just do whatever base she wants to dye on. So one of the clubs is her remix club, and that's this one, and that is, she reimagines a colorway that she has done like years ago. And so this colorway is Pop Star Remix, and she did this fittingly on her Glitterful base. So that sparkles just like Pop Stars sparkle. So those are some nice, bright, fun colors. And then I really love this one. Oh my goodness. So this is her regular Vesper Sock Yarn Club. This one she did on her 75 superwash wool, 25 nylon base. And this colorway is called Atmospheric Conditions. And I really, really love these colors. So out of the 2, this one is definitely my favorite. You can also choose whether you want the minis included or not. So I get them. I don't always use them. in that particular project, but I like to have the minis. I don't tend to buy minis, so it's really great to just have a bunch in my stash, whether I use them in the socks or just pick them out like I've done in the past for other projects. All right, so that is my acquisitions. I've got about 4 minutes now to go set up for my teaching downstairs. So we will take a break here and I will chat with you guys about all my fun natural dyeing when I come back later this afternoon. Okay, bye. Hey everyone, I am back from teaching and I am ready to share all of my natural dyeing with you all. Unfortunately, since this morning, the tree removal service that was here interrupting my Paradise Fibers unboxing video has returned. They were not here earlier. I don't even know. They're like blocks away and it is so noisy. So I'm gonna do my best. I am going to try to record this. I have a very short window right now before Owen gets home from school, and then I have to do more teaching this evening, and then the weekend is a mess. So I really just need to try to get this done now. So apologies ahead of time. If I need to re-record this, I will. But for now, let's just go ahead and get in what I can. All right, so last episode, in episode 36, I showed you the beginnings of my natural dyeing with goldenrod. And I showed you these 4, oops, that's 3. Why can't I count? No, that's 3. No, there's 4. One was hiding. I showed you these 4 beautiful skeins that gave me like a straw-like color. I would say it's kind of like straw or hay. It's gorgeous. I absolutely fell in love with this color. So then what I did was I had some color left in the dye bath, but I also had a whole other bag of goldenrod flowers that I had not used yet. So rather than discarding the first dye bath, I just decided to add my new goldenrod flowers to my previous dye bath. And I'm so glad I did, because then I was able to get this beautiful, bright golden yellow. And I think that you can see a difference. So here, oh my gosh, it's so joyful, this yellow here. But there's this, and then like this one is more muted and more like straw-like. So it's still beautiful. It's very autumnal. I love it. So some of you might prefer like a more muted kind of yellow, and then others might like to kick it up a little bit in the brightness. So I've got 8 skeins here of goldenrod, and there's 2 of each color on 2 different bases. So I even think all together these just look really, really lovely and beautiful. So yeah, I love how these turned out. I might decide to do a little bit of experimentation with a couple of these skeins and see what they look like dipping in an iron after bath, because I had a lot of fun doing that with the last set of natural dyed yarns that I did, and seeing how the iron after bath altered the color. So the iron saddens and darkens the color a bit, and so I would think that these would turn maybe a little bit onto the greenish side of things if I put them in iron. So I might try that, I might not, we will see. I do love how all of these came out. So that is kind of still to be determined. So that is my goldenrod dyeing. So I'm gonna put these down. So the next thing that I had a lot of fun dyeing with was mushrooms. So I spent the summer doing a lot of hiking outdoors with Owen, and we did a lot of foraging for mushrooms, and it was really fun because we found some that we wanted to try eating, like chicken of the woods, and that actually is really yummy. And then we learned others that really are not going to be like what they call a choice edible. So there are some that are dye duds and that are also not choice edibles. So we've learned, you know, a little bit of like which to just kind of leave alone and let be. And then we've started to be able to recognize some that are not really great for eating, but make beautiful colors in the dye bath, particularly with tooth fungi or fungi. There's kind of a debate how to say it. I always had heard it as fungi, but lately I've been hearing it more as fungi. So let me know which way you guys pronounce it. I think both are valid and it is used interchangeably. But basically there are like 3 different types of mushrooms. There are those that have gills on the underside of the cap. So you've got like your mushroom cap, and some of them have a stem. And there are gills underneath those, or there can be pores. And then you have others that either grow in the ground or grow as like a bracket off of like a tree. And those were called like polypores. Those polypores can either be like a bracket type of mushroom, and they'll have like pores underneath, or they might grow in the ground. And then there's others that grow in the ground that have things that look more like teeth on the other side, more kind of like little hairy formations. So I'm learning a lot, and it is really interesting. And these tooth fungi are especially sensitive to pH changes, and some of the ones that I collected are supposed to give kind of a greenish bluish tint to them when you raise the alkaline level a bit with a pH modifier like soda ash or ammonia. So I had fun playing with that. Not everything that I did was successful. So I have a couple right now that are like a blah beige, and you can get beige so many ways, but I want to try and see what happens either by over dyeing them, or maybe I'll modify those with iron and see what kinds of color shades I get then. But I did have some success with a Hydnellum species of fungi. So now I hope that these really show up on camera. Otherwise I did take pictures, which I will insert, because the shades are so gorgeous. These two I am definitely definitely going to be listing in the shop. These were the very first 2 mushroom skeins that I dyed, and I did have success with getting like a greenish tint to these. And so, oh yeah, you can totally see that these are greenish. They are so beautiful. I want to keep everything for myself, but it's so hard. I promised Bryce that I would not, because the whole idea is to sell this to you guys. But this, can you see how these are like a beautiful sage green? This one especially right here, this was the very first mushroom dye bath, and I raised the pH. It was some kind of Hydnellum species. I'm not savvy enough yet with my identification skills to be able to differentiate easily between the different varieties of species, and a lot of that differentiation comes with a lot of experience. So I'm a total mushroom newbie here, but this one is kind of, to me, looks like a greenish silver. I am kind of looking at the Adirondack chair across from me there, and it is really looking like a beautiful sage green of that chair. So I think that you guys can really, like, in the camera lens right now, it's really reading like that perfect shade of green to me. So I hope that you guys can see that. And then this one also has a greenish tint, but to me this one on this side is a little bit more of a gray, like a greenish gray, like a silvery grayish greenish color. And this one has more of a beige or tan undertone to it. So they are definitely different. They are from the same dye bath. This was the first one and this was the second skein. And then these two are just so gorgeous. So they're definitely different shades, but from the same dye bath. So, excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat there. So this was like really exciting to see. Like, it's not an obvious green, but it's like one of those colors that is really hard to achieve, not just with the mushrooms, but I would think even with like an acid dye method, it would be a difficult color to achieve. So it's a really special color, I think. This one especially, I just love so much. And I don't know, like, I don't know if like you see them on their own, if they look greenish, but I definitely think that they do. So I'm just amazed that I was able to get this beautiful shade of green. Like, green is not a color that you can achieve very easily with a natural dye method. Basically, the way that you can achieve green is either over yellow with either indigo or with like an iron afterbath, like I did with my, what are they called? Mulberry. My mulberry leaves there. I got some pretty interesting shades of green when I dipped my yellow mulberry dyed skeins in iron. But totally different from these pale, muted shades that to me kind of like a sage green. It's getting pretty noisy over there. I just am hoping that it's not, I just can't do anything about it. I was explaining in my other video that in January we're moving into our own place, so I will have more options for recording indoors than I do now. So it'll also be cold in the winter, so I'll be back indoors anyway. But yeah, our current house is being sold, so it's a mess. So I have to do all of the recording outdoors. So I'm just kind of dealing with it the best that I can, and I hope that you guys can just bear with me. All right, so those are the first two that I did. I am so excited to show you guys these next three. I'm not parting with them. I am just letting you know that right now. It sounds like a tree is going through the chopper thing right now, so just wait a second, I think. Okay, so these next three were also dyed with some variety of hydnellum. I think it was a zoned hydnellum, a hydnellum concrescens, but I'm not positive. I could be completely wrong about that. But oh my goodness, so the first ones I showed you, I altered the pH using soda ash. This time I tried using ammonia, which smells horribly, but I don't know if it would have made a difference or not. I was just trying out a different method, and oh my goodness, I got the most gorgeous bluish greenish gradient. And do you guys see this? These I'm keeping for myself because, first of all, it's really hard to find the types of mushrooms that produce these colors of dye. Second of all, I don't know if I will ever again in my life achieve this. So I think I'm gonna keep looking for these kinds of mushrooms and hope that I can just dye a lot more of this color in the future. But I feel like this was my first like truly successful bluish greenish color, and I just fell in love with this gradient. And I can just picture like a really gorgeous shawl. It's like in certain light it looks like different shades of gray, but in the right light you can just see that bluish greenish tint to it. Is so beautiful. Oh my goodness, I am in love with this so much. So I will not be putting these three in the shop. I hope that you will forgive me. But I'm gonna try to go foraging again for more with my son this weekend in the same location that I found these. So we will see if I have any luck finding more. And then of course it's a matter of, can I achieve the same color or a similar color in the dye pot? So we will see. It's like a big experiment, and you never quite know what you're gonna get with the mushrooms. So oh my gosh, but I was so excited to show these to you because mushrooms, you guys, mushrooms. I'll try to put in a picture of the mushrooms. It's so loud. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But I know that you guys are gonna wanna see this next dyeing that I did because I dug into my lichen jars. That is so loud. But we're almost done. I promise we're almost done. Okay, let's shake my jars. I did dig into some of these. So I don't have too much lichen in here, but I've got some started. Let's see. Shake, 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 shake. I've got different stages of readiness. This one is not yet ready. These bubbles are like a brownish. I've got to open these up too. That's rainwater. I've got to open these up too to get more oxygen in here. Yeah, so these are brownish. So these two are not yet ready. I think this one here is gonna be the next one that I dig into. Can you guys see that this one has a little bit more of that purplish tint? It's still not ready. I have to be patient and wait probably 1 more month. Whoops. But I think you guys can see the difference, right? And this jar has a little bit more reddish tint, and then the bubbles in this jar are definitely more brownish. They're so loud. And then this is another one that is getting close, but it definitely still needs another month. But yeah, so I can't dig into those yet, but what I did was in that big jar that I just pulled out, that was my leaky jar. I had 2 smaller jars that were ready to go, and so I finally tried the dyeing. So this is yellow. This is the earliest stage. It's not even quite brown yet. And then these last 2 are still gonna be yellow because these last 2, I put all of these in at the same time. So yeah, so this is kind of early still. And then this jar here is my rust water that I made with some rusty bits and vinegar and water. And so this is my iron modifier that I put in the afterbath. Okay, so I had my 2 jars that I used. I dug them out. I strained the lichen out of those. I had started those on June, I want to say like June 1st, maybe. Something, it was like June 1st or 2nd, something like that. And so I fermented the lichen in the ammonia water solution until October 4th. So it was like 4 months, right? Yeah, 4 months, which is like 16 weeks is kind of like the minimum that you want to let them ferment. Okay, guys, I posted some pictures and I haven't skeined these up yet, so these are still on the hanger. You guys see this beautiful purple that I got? So these 2 skeins, this is 2 different bases, and this was the very first dye bath from the lichen. So gorgeous. This is like my favorite color of purple. And then these next 2 skeins were from the first after bath. It's so gorgeous. So these all together look like that. They're so pretty. And then I went ahead and I tried to just exhaust that dye bath. I wanted to get as much color out of it as I could. And so, what is this? This is 4 more skeins in there. And they don't have a lot of color to them, but it's still gorgeous. With these skeins, I am thinking of seeing what an iron after bath might do to them. Basically, these don't have so much dye color to them. They would look gorgeous. Like if I wanted to make maybe like a 3 skein gradient with these, I feel like some of them are so much lighter though. So these I'm definitely leaving as is. And I'm definitely taking at least one for myself, because that 4 months was a lot of patience to get here. But I will, in the coming months, be having a lot more lichen dyed yarn to offer you guys. I kind of am experimenting with my technique right now. And I mean, it's my favorite color. So I have to be a little bit selfish and keep some for myself. So, oh my gosh, go over there. So then with these, and I actually have 4 skeins also of kind of a little bit paler than this. Lichen can be used as a mordant too. And so it's kind of like a really beautiful pale base color, right? And so what I think I want to do with these, rather than leave them as is, I mean, it is a gorgeous color. It is so pretty. Is I might do like a half dipped skein in iron. I'm going to do that at least in one of them so that I know what the iron does to the color. Because I have to experiment and see what modifiers do what with the lichens, because I just don't know yet. But it's kind of like the most beautiful pale, trying to think like what color would this be? Like an orchard pink, or I'm trying to think like the Crayola box of crayons. It's beautiful though. So I love it on its own, but I also kind of want to change it up a little bit and see what happens in different like modifiers and iron bath afterwards and stuff. So you guys, I mean, look at these, just look at these beautiful colors. I want to somehow get them like on screen together somehow for you guys. Oh, can you guys believe these colors? All from natural dyed materials, and these greens, and then we've got like these yellows too. So pretty. It is so noisy. I'm so sorry. All right, but that's everything. Oh my goodness, I have so much yarn. So much yarn. Okay, so I just skeined them up to show you guys. Look at this purple goodness. It is so amazing. It is so good. I just love this. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I love the super saturated ones, but the pale ones are just, they're so gorgeous too. Just, they're purple. Purple's the best color. And I got this color by fermenting lichen that fell on the ground off of trees that's green. Weird, right? Beautiful. So I'm so happy that this is working out just as I pictured it would. So yeah, so I gotta be a little bit more patient for the rest of those jars, but I am so excited to keep on collecting lichen. It's so worth it. It is the best color. I could just dye with lichen all the time. it's the best. So right now I have some birch in the dye bath. Right now I've got some birch yarn going. I've got another dye bath of a different type of mushroom going right now. So there is more coming. I'm having so much fun with all of these natural materials. Like, I'm having a blast. I could do this all day, every day. It is so much fun. Wow. So, all right. So I definitely apologize for the noise. I hope I don't have to try to re-record this. But I've got more coming up next week. I'll have more yarns naturally dyed to show you. I'm going to try to record every week for the next bit because of Shawlography. I want to be able to show you guys my progress, every clue with the shawl, and just, yeah. So I think that you guys can expect some podcasts from me on a weekly basis, at least through the end of Shawlography. Also, my teaching schedule is ending this next week at the college, so I'm going to have a whole lot more free time. So that's all I've got for you guys today. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.